Welcome to this video at sa series natin for our MikroTik tutorials. I-discuss ko muna yung mga networking concepts before we dive in sa actual MikroTik environment natin. Importante kasi to na kahit pa paano ay meron tayo basic understanding sa mga concepts at terms ng networking para mas madali natin maintindihan yung mga future lessons. Let's start with defining the network first. No? It is a collection of interconnected devices such as computers, servers, routers, switches, and other hardware and software components that are linked together to enable communication and the sharing of resources. So, ang highlight mo dito or yung key word mo dito ay yung enable communication. So, basically, it is a two or more devices na nagko-communicate with each other and mag-exchange sila ng resources or information. OSI layers. So, ito naman yung model or conceptual framework na nag standardize ng mga functions of a telecommunication or networking system into 7 distinct layers. So, lahat ng mga networking professionals or expert ay dapat alam yung OSI layers. So, lahat kasi ng IT infrastructure ay ina-adapt yung OSI layers kung paano ba nagwo-work yan from your source to the destination. So, each layers ay may mga responsibilities at may ina-add na mga encapsulation on every traffic or data magmula sa application layer papunta doon sa physical layer. Yung last three layers, yung application, presentation, session layer, ay yung mga layers na mostly on the user side. Ito yung mga expert dito is yung mga software engineers natin or system engineers. Sila yung mga nag-work sa mga layer na to. And then for our network engineers or access engineers, ito yung mga hawak nila, yung mga transport, network, data link, physical. So, bigyan natin ng brief overview yung mga layer na to. Sa layer 7, yung application, so ito yung responsible for the network process to application. Ito yung mga softwares na ginagamit ng mga end users natin. And then for the presentation, ito yung responsible for the encryption of our data, particularly facing the client side. Then we have the session. Ito naman yung nag establish ng mga connection or communication between the host on the upper layer. Then we have the transport. Ito naman yung nag establish ng reliability in terms of the connections of two hosts. And then for the transport, ito naman yung responsible for the reliability of our end-to-end connections. Network layer or yung layer 3, ito naman yung layer for the IP addressing or determining which path or route is the best for our traffic. Data link layer, yung layer 2, ito naman yung kasama dito yung MAC address and LLC. Lastly, yung physical natin, ito yung mga hardware components natin, pwedeng yung hardware device or yung guided medium natin or mga cable natin. And then may kita nyo rin dito, no? Ano yung mga tawag sa mga data on every layer. Of course, for the physical, bits yan. Ito yung foundation unit natin for our data. And then for the data link is frames. And then for the layer 3 is packets, transport is the segments, and then for the layer 5, 6, and 7 is the data itself. So, yung mga routers natin ay nag-work sa layer 3 since the router are mainly responsible for our routing, IP addressing, and so on and so forth. While for the data link, ito naman yung layer for our MAC addresses, layer 2 connection between the local area network. So, dito yan sa layer 2. So, bits and bytes, no? Ito yung basic unit of our data, no? Sa physical layer na na-mention natin kanina. Ang mga data natin ay binubuo ng mga digital signals represented by bits on the lower layer. Even yung mga IP address natin ay binubuo rin ng mga bits, no? Sa slide na to, pinapakita lang natin ang relationship ng bit and bytes, no? Tandaan lang natin na ang 1 byte ay equivalent to 8 bits. So, example tayo. Yung mga 100 Mbps or yung mga nakikita natin sa mga ISP natin na mga bandwidth or pag nag-speed test tayo, nasa form siya or unit siya ng megabit per second. Kasi for example, itong 100 Mbps or 100 megabit per second, yung small b, no? Bit yan. Kasi 'di ba, mas maliit yung bit kaysa sa byte. So yung 100 Mbps ay equal sa 12.5 Mbps, capital B, or 12.5 megabyte per second. So paano nangyari yun, no? Kasi 'di ba alam natin na ang 1 byte ay equal to 8 bits, no? So simple multiplication, i-convert lang natin. Yung 100 megabits ay i-divide natin by 8, makukuha natin yung 12.5 megabytes or MB, no? So, mapapansin niyo 'yan 'no, kapag magda-download kayo assuming na okay yung connection or malit lang yung latency from your PC going to a server tapos mag-download kayo sa server. And mapapansin niyo 'no, yung speed natin ay naka-form ng megabytes 'no. Yung iba sa atin nagtataka kung bakit yung mga 100 Mbps na plan, 'pag nagda-download sila is 12.5 lang yung nakukuha. So that's because probably ang unit na nakaset sa browser mo ay naka-megabyte per second. MAC address. A MAC address stands for Media Access Control Address. It is a unique identifier assigned to a network interface controller, NIC, or network adapter in computing device. It is a hardware address that is used at the data link layer, or layer 2, of the OSI model to identify and locate devices on a local area network. So not necessarily a computer or a router, even our phones and other gadgets has its own MAC address. MAC address contains usually 6 bytes or equivalent to 48 bits kasi 'di ba? 6 bytes times 8 is 48, no? 48 bits. So may kita natin, meron tayong 6 bytes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this MAC address is a combination of hexadecimal, no? So 'di ba ang hexadecimal, if you would research, no? Hex, it means 16. So it starts from 0 to 9 and then yung succeeding values niya related to the decimal from 10 to 15 is equivalent to A, B, C, D, E, F. So kaya may kita nyo for the numbers ay up to 9 lang and for the letters no hanggang F lang. So that's hexadecimal. And then our MAC address is actually divided into two no, yung kalahati niyan, tigalahati sila. The one is the OUI or Organizationally Unique Identifier, and the other one is the Network Interface Controller Specific or yung NIC natin, no? So, yung NIC, ito yung kumbaga serial number na once na manufacture yung isang device, ito yung ina-assign ng manufacturer or vendor. While for our OUI, ito ay unique para sa isang brand, para sa isang vendor na makikita natin yan sa mga listahan ng mga OUI sa buong mundo. So, this is recognized by the standard organizations. So, meron tayong mga useful tools for the OUI lookup, no? For example, itong Arul Utilities, no? So, for example, meron tayong MAC address ni Mikrotik na itatry natin or verify natin kung kay Mikrotik ba talaga, no? So, i-paste lang natin yung MAC address dito sa lookup MAC address and makikita nyo na basically yung information about sa OUI ng Mikrotik. So, makikita nyo dito yung block range. Makikita nyo yung first 3 bytes ay same, no? Yung 00OC42. Tapos yung range niya is from 000 hanggang FF. FF. Yan. So, ganun siya. Useful siya, no? Since sa layer 2 pa lang, nagkikita na yung mga devices natin if we are in the same broadcast domain. So, minsan may times na hindi natin alam kung kanino ba tong nade-detect natin. So, especially sa mga Wi-Fi scenarios, no? Minsan wala tayong information sa device name na nakikita dun sa ating monitoring. And one way to check if kanino ba talaga yung device na yon is through the OUI lookup. Kung hindi naka-randomize MAC address yung isang mobile phone, for example, so pwede nating malaman na itong mobile phone, ito yung kanyang brand. So, yun yung purpose ng OUI lookup natin. IP address. It is a unique numerical label assigned to each device connected to a computer network that uses the Internet Protocol for communication. IP address is under layer 3 in the OSI, no? Ang function, of course, ng IP address, lahat naman tayo familiar na or narinig na si IP address. Ang primary function is number 1 for the device identification, and for number 2, of course, is for the routing. We have two types of IP address, no? Yung IPv4 or version 4 at yung IPv6, version 6. So, initially, no, yung IPv6 ay ginawa or dinevelop para mag-undergo ng replacement for the IPv4. Kasi na-realize nila na limited lang yung IPv4 at there will come a time na um, lahat ng IPv4 ay mauubos na, no? That's why they opted an alternative solution, IPv6. But initially, yun yung purpose niya, no? Pero as of the moment, we cannot say for sure if i-eliminate na ba si IPv4 because as of the moment, nag-work together or ginagamit na natin pareho si IPv4 and IPv6 at si IPv4 naman is not yet actually obsolete. Ayan. Difference lang nila, no? Si IPv4 ay 32-bit IP address, meaning 32, so meron tayong 4 bytes. And for the IPv6, we have 128-bit IP address or 16 bytes. Siyempre, mas malaki yung range ni IPv6 in terms of the addressing. Si IPv4 ay 4.3 billion addresses. So, ilan ba yung billion, no? Times 10 raised to 9 lang yan, if I'm not mistaken. But for the IPv6, yung maximum amount ng addresses na possible is 10 raised to 28. So, ganun kadami yung IP address natin for the IPv6. For the IPv4, yung notation natin is numeric and dot decimal. So, numbers lang, no? And then, but for the IPv6, mas mahaba siya. And it's a combination of alphanumeric hexadecimal notation. Then for IPv4, we can use it for either DHCP or static configuration or manual, no? But for IPv6, we have actually other deployment methods na hindi na natin pa kailangan mag-setup ng DHCP server because it can do auto configuration by itself. Subnetting. Subnetting is a fundamental concept in computer networking that involves dividing a larger IP network into smaller, more manageable subnetworks, often referred as subnets or subnetworks. So, importante talaga to, no? Especially if we will be dealing with IP addresses, no? Let's say for example, dito sa anatomy of IP address. Like I mentioned, we have IPv4 address. So, that's 32-bit address at meron tayong 4 bytes, no? So, yung each byte ay represented ng numbers, and then followed by dotted, dot, and dot, no? Since 1 byte tayo, so meron tayong 8 bits and that's what we call as octet. So meron tayong 4 na octet dito. So yung 192, ito yung equivalent niyang bits. Same with 168. Ito yung equivalent niyang bits. For the 1, syempre yan, ito 1. So same goes with the last byte, no? And then, paano ba natin malalaman kung ano yung network address at host address? But first, ano ba yung network address? So, ito yung address natin na mag-identify ng isang buong network. And then, yung host address naman, of course, ito yung mga usable addresses na kino-configure natin sa mga devices natin. Of course, dapat unique yan at walang magkakaparehas na host address, no? So, para mas maintindihan natin yung subnetting, no? Magbigay tayo ng example. Gamitin natin yung IP address na ginamit natin sa previous slide, no? Meron tayong 192.168.1.0/24. Yung slash 24, ito yung nagde-determine kung ano yung network address natin. So, in this case, since slash 24 tayo, ibig sabihin, meron tayong 24 bits na magre-represent ng network. So, in this example, since 24 siya, no? So, divide by 8, ibig sabihin, meron tayong tatlong octet na magre-represent ng network address natin. So, in this case, that's 192.168.1. So, of course, hindi na kasama yung next octet. So, we will consider it as 0. So, yung network address niya ay 192.168.1.0. So, of course, ano mangyayari sa remaining 8 bits? So, yung remaining 8 bits ay naka-assign na para sa host natin. Ito yung color blue. Pero, hindi pa kasi yun yung host or yung usable IP addresses natin. So, di ba, since ang network natin, yung overall network natin ay from 192.168.1.0 hanggang 192.168.1.255. So, yun yung buong kabuuan ng network natin. So, we have a total of 256 IP address in this network, including the zero, no? Kaya 256. Yun kasi yung full equivalent into decimal ng 8 bits. Sa loob ng isang domain ay meron tayong naka-reserve na IP address. Isa na dyan yung network address na na-determine na natin kanina na it is the first address sa loob ng network natin. So that's 192.168.1.0. And then yung last address naman niya, which is yung 255. Ito naman yung broadcast address. Yung broadcast address ay ginagamit natin para magkaroon tayo ng communication between the devices, no, inside single domain or private area network. So, ang tanong natin dyan, what is the maximum number of hosts that can be used? So, ano yung mga IP addresses na pwede kong gamitin para sa mga interface ko or mga devices ko? So, ang sagot dyan is 254. 254 kasi hindi na natin isasama yung network and broadcast address. And since meron tayong 256 IP address in the network, so minus 2 lang natin lagi. So, that's 254. Even with other subnets o yung even /16, /8 and other classes, no? Yung mga classes, iba nating classes. So, laging minus 2 yan kasi lagi nating i-reserve yung dalawang address for the network address and the broadcast address. So, ano-ano yung mga usable IP address na pwede nating gamitin for our IP addressing sa mga interface natin, yung mga i-assign natin. So that's 192.168.1.1 hanggang 192.168.1.254. Another slide para sa subnetting para mas maintindihan natin. Meron kasi tayong class-full network and the classless interdomain range or CIDR. Yung class-full network, ito yung matuturing nating old style. Nung na-develop yung IP addressing, no, hindi nila na-anticipate yung magiging problema dito sa in-establish nilang class-full network, no. Basically, ayan, yung class-full network natin ay hinahati niya sa tatlong groups or classes yung mga IP addresses na gagamitin natin. So that's class A, class B, and class C, no? So when we do IP addressing, ang ginagamit lang nating subnet mask is yung /8, 16, at 24. So yung network mask or mask address niyan is 255.0.0.0 for the class A. Then itong dalawang 255 naman for class B at yung class C naman or /24 ay tatlong 255, no? Pero eventually, nakita nila yung problema, no? Kasi na-realize nila na maraming nasasayang na IP address kunyari, dito sa class C, kailangan mo lang ng 5 IP address pero ang ilalagay mong IP address is /24. So, meron kang hindi magagamit na almost 200 plus na IP address. So, medyo hindi mo na fully utilize yung IP addressing mo. So, kaya na-develop nila itong CIDR, no? Ito, kapag tinignan natin into full details, yan. So, may kita natin na pwede na natin gamitin yung ibang slashes, no? Yung slash from /0 hanggang /32 yung nandito sa chart na yan, no? So, even hindi siya /24, 16, or 8 ay pwede nating gamitin for our subnetting para mas segregate natin or mas segment natin yung ating mga network, no? So, para mas maintindihan natin, maglagay tayo ng example. Ayan. So, meron tayong IP address, no? Na, for example, na nirentahan mula sa isang ISP and binigyan niya tayo ng, so nag-request tayo ng /24 network sa ating ISP para marentahan at magamit natin for our businesses, for example. So, ito ay nirentahan natin sa kanila. So, /24 itself is already an expensive, no? So, himay-himayin natin, no? Again, ang network natin dito is 154.201.1.0. So, yun yung ating network. And yung host natin, again, same with our example previously. So, that's from 0 to 255. But then again, yung network natin at yung broadcast address natin ay hindi na natin isasama. That's why ang usable IP address natin ay 154.201.1.1 hanggang 154.201.1.254. Yan ay kung /24 yung gagamitin mo. And then let's say gusto mong i-connect yung Office A mo sa Office B at kailangan mo pareho ng public IP. So meron kang dalawang gagamitin na .1 and .2 na lang. So ano mangyayari kapag ganito? So, meron tayong mawo-waste na 252 IP addresses, no? So, ibig sabihin, kapag mag-branching out ka pa or magkaroon ka pa ng other devices na gusto mo ihiwalay dito sa dalawang ito, other segment ng iyong network, since /24 lang yung nabili mo or narentahan mo sa iyong ISP, so, ang mangyayari, hindi mo magagawa yung pag-segment ng network mo. Kasi nga, yung /24 ay isang domain na siya. Isang network na siya, no? But with the use of the classless IP addressing or CIDR, we can efficiently utilize our IP. So, pwede nating i-plan yung network natin na dalawang usable host lang yung gagamitin natin. Two usable IP address or host ay equivalent ng ganito. So, focus muna tayo dito sa part na to, no? So, since dalawa lang yung need nating host, so ang equivalent ng two usable host ay /30 na makikita natin yan dun sa previous slide natin for the chart, no? For the classless inter-domain range, no? So, ibig sabihin, again, since /30, yung network address natin ay 0 at yung last address natin ay yung 3. Ito yung broadcast address natin, no? So, makikita natin dun sa previous slide, itong /30 ay equivalent ng 4 IP addresses, no? But of course, since ibabawas na natin dyan yung network and broadcast address, so dalawa na lang usable IP addresses natin. Tamang-tama dun sa application natin para dun sa Office A and Office B since dalawa lang siya. Of course, ang subnet mask na gagamitin natin, yung /30 ay may equivalent na 255.255.255.252. So going back to our Example here, kung /30 na yung gagamitin natin, magagamit na natin more efficiently yung IP address natin kasi yung .1 at saka .2, so saktong-sakto lang siya dun sa application natin na router. That's why if in case na gusto nating mag-expand or gumamit pa ng or i-segment natin yung inassign sa ating IP address, so pwede nating gamitin yung susunod na subnet, no? Since ang dulo natin dito is yung broadcast, no? Yung broadcast address natin na 154.201.1.3. So, yung next network natin or subnet natin ay .4 na. So, ito na yung magsisilbing network address ng susunod na subnet na pwede nating gamitin para dun sa Office C and Office D. No? Again, same computation natin. Since yung 4 is the network, so yung usable IP address natin is from .5 hanggang .6. And then, yung broadcast address natin is yung dulo, yung .7. Which means, yung susunod naman ngayon na subnet natin or network natin ay may network address na .8. And so on and so forth. So, in that way, yung lahat ng IP addresses from 0 to 255 na nirentahan natin sa ISP ay talagang efficiently magagamit natin. IP address allocation. So, ito naman yung mga reserved IP addresses na ginagamit sa industry, no? So, meron tayong, actually marami to, no? If you're gonna take a look at the really published reserved addresses, no? Marami yan. But actually, I just choose those IP ranges na madalas nating ma-encounter as we go on through our succeeding lessons, no? So, meron tayong private IP range, reserved and special cases, carrier grade NAT range, and the public IP ranges. So, yung private IP ranges, of course, by the name of private IP range, it means that ginagamit natin siya sa mga internal networks or local area networks natin. At meron tayong tatlong ranges na ginagamit. So, yun yung um, 192.168.0.0/16, yung 172.16.0.0/12, 10.0.0.0/8, no? But actually, yung iba dito sa mga private IP ranges are actually already being used dito sa public IP ranges, no? Especially as of the moment, no, na medyo nauubusan na rin talaga tayo ng public IP addresses sa IPv4. That's why, yun nga, no, kino-consider na ng iba na mag-coexist yung IPv4 with the IPv6. So, in that way, importante rin na ma-maintain natin yung allocation, especially sa private IP range, especially sa mga internal network natin. We also have reserved and special cases na mga IP address, no? One is the loopback address na ito, yung IP address is 127.0.0.1. So, ginagamit natin yan usually sa mga computers natin to identify if may problem ba sa NIC natin or network interface cards, or ginagamit rin natin para mag-troubleshoot or testing. Then, yung 0.0.0.0, ito naman yung unspecified address or yung any address. Ginagamit natin yan usually sa mga routing for the default routes at if mag-identify tayo ng mga addresses um, or any addresses, no? So, yung 0.0.0.0 yung ginagamit natin. And then we also have the APIPA or automatic private IP addressing. Ito naman yung kapag pumalya yung DHCP request natin, no, from a server or DHCP server. So, ang nangyayari dyan ay binibigyan tayo ng automatic address. So, ito yung 169.254.0.0 hanggang 169.254.255.255. And then lastly, sinama ko lang rin tong carrier grade at no. So, sinama ko siya dahil dito sa Pilipinas, halos lahat ng ISP ay gumagamit ng CGNAT, of course, para makatipid sa public addresses, no? Yung ginagawa diyan is Technically, marami tayong mag-share sa isang public IP address at yung makukuhang addresses ng mga routers natin ay from this IP pool, no? Yung from 100.64.0.0 to 100.127.255.255. So, ba't ba natin kailangan sundin yung mga reserve IP address allocations na to? Of course, number one is to avoid IP address conflicts. Especially pag ginamit mo yung hindi dapat para sa public IP range or magkabaliktad naman yung private IP range is ginamit mo for public IP range. So that will result for the IP address conflict. Number two is network isolation from the public internet as well. And of course, lastly, compliance and best practices, no? Sa mga network administrators, of course, helpful siya sa atin in terms of troubleshooting or maintaining our network kasi madali nating ma-distinguish if ano tong IP address na to dahil pasok yan dun sa standards na sinusunod natin, no? As of this moment, and as we go on to our next videos, so it is important na sumunod tayo sa mga compliance and best practices natin sa network administration. So that's it for our basic concepts ng ating networking, especially on the subnetting part. So mas kailangan magkaroon tayo ng practice dyan. So meron tayong mga other tutorials na mas mabilis nyong maintindihan yung IP addressing, no? So that's it for this video and see you to the next video.